Hello, East Grand Rapids community. Hi there. This is Brad Hunter, Ward 2 City Commissioner, coming to you on October 28th with an update on a few things related to the city that I hope you'll find helpful. As you know, my hope with the format of sharing the videos in this way here via YouTube was kind of in this stream of consciousness approach, was just to make the information available, accessible, and understandable. My goal was never to sway anybody's opinion from one side to the other, but to present information as I understand it for your benefit. I do wish that it went without saying, but I'm sure somewhere along the line, just as a quick disclaimer, I've said something regarding the development that wasn't completely accurate, wasn't exactly on point or timed or delivered in the best way possible. So just kind of covering that quickly up front. I would just like to say that, again, going back to the intentions for, creating the videos and presenting viewpoints and opinions, is that I would just come across as, kind of the most unbiased way that I could. I do believe that to be a healthy and robust sign of good local discourse on ideas and perspectives. And however, the absence of it, or worse yet, the suppression of it, I think is a cautionary tale about how sometimes partisan viewpoints can be hunkered down, and especially when they're shaped by outside influences with little or no buy-in to the community, how those can slowly start to take hold. So I think we should just be on guard right now for that aspect of our community conversation regarding the Gaslight project. And, look, I understand the passion that lies here. But I also understand the goodwill of our residents when it comes to topics we disagree on. We seek to fully and comprehensively understand the ideas and issues. We realize that all our neighbors are not going to think and look at these issues the same way that we do. That's obvious. So we strive for conversation where common ground can be felt and seen, hoping not to alienate ourselves or somebody else to make them feel ostracized, right, for holding a conflicting view. So I hope this call for more than anything else, civility at this point in time. So I believe it to be quite normal considering the circumstances and the complexities of this project, that perhaps sometimes these strong feelings can be elicited around a project like this, and those feelings that do get conjured up can give way to some uncomfortable feelings for some people. But I think what I'd like to talk about today more than anything else is maybe a little bit more of the troubling aspect of this dialogue that's emerged. And speaking of facts, from early on, the links provided by city staff placed in our commissioner email, these links to sort of highly biased articles supporting developers and denigrating concerned resident groups, to, as of late, really unfounded, unfortunately, rumors making their way back to the commission that we've had to go and investigate and figure out where they came from and do they have any merit or substance. Social media conversation, text messaging rants, falsely implicating a member of my family as being a member of the opposition group, and very recently a facts versus lies video put out by a fellow commissioner, I think speaks to an unfortunate trend. Especially here in this small town kind of atmosphere we try to create. I would think that and like most people would think that this troubling trend is inappropriate. I believe it's the easiest thing to do. I know it's something we're all capable of, and that's just putting yourselves in somebody else's shoes before making those types of comments. So again, I think it's just far too early to be talking about facts versus lies. I think it corrupts the process, and it sort of undermines the due process that we all need to be taking here, to state that a difference of opinion is a lie, thereby denouncing the person or group that is stating those claims. So I've referred a little bit to the postcard. This is where it seems like a lot of the animosity has been triggered. That was sent out by a group of our residents a few weeks back. It was pre-concept plan vote, and there's a resident group who got some addresses and got some funding, sent out a 3x5 postcard. We're probably going back about 3 weeks now at this point, prior to the October 6th meeting, maybe closer to a month ago. So they formed a nonprofit, sent out some a postcard. I think those groups, we see them routinely around elections and other types of events. Just tapped into the freedom of speech and didn't violate anybody's rights in doing so. So they were just a resident group with opposing views of the development. So as a result of this, the yes votes in the commission took to explaining in a video their claims that the postcard were, quote, full of lies, stating that the misinformation was spread intentionally to derail the project, and that these were a small group of residents acting in a disappointing manner. So again, there's just been a lot of criticism about the postcard. My initial reaction when seeing it, reading it, going over it was, in 50 to 100 words on a 3x5 postcard, not all the information was 100% correct. But as a former high school history teacher, it was really similar to me of any type of Democratic involvement, that they were just really using their constitutionally enshrined First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. And I guess if they were blatantly spreading information that would be hurtful to a person, my input would be, let's get as many voices onto the table regarding this project as we can. That's been my message from the beginning. So the info wasn't, though, too far off to deserve that type of reaction. And to me, that part of this entire process now has been quite discouraging, to take a group of well-intentioned residents and suppress their voices by coming out and denouncing and sort of criticizing them at every single turn. Moving on to continuing kind of through the video. Again, I don't want to get into a back and forth or a tit for tat, but I'll just quickly address a few of the claims that were referred to again as lies in the video. Again, it's fairly serious topic, so a lot of residents have asked me to just kind of come through and speak to what we saw in the video. And that is, first, I guess, two aspects we'll look at are the tax increment financing and traffic impact studies. The conversation around what we will abate in taxes could have been done prior to concept plan approval, much like it could have been for the traffic impact study. That's still the way I believe and feel about the traffic impact study and tax incentives. That's a point of disagreement. I've been told they can be completed prior. They believe they cannot. I will just simply leave it at that. Go do your own research. But the quotes, like for the tax increment financing from the video, that you will, quote, pay zero, or that not one penny will be coming from your pockets, is not without mention. If this process, as the commissioner states, is not completed yet, how are we guaranteeing that your taxes won't have to be increased due to the increased demand on the infrastructure? So again, I've had conversations about this topic with many of you watching this video right now. I've met with you formally. I hear your concerns, and I would just like to say at this point, in response to those folks who are deeply concerned and kind of share my balance sheet perspective about the real life impacts that these types of developments can have on a city's cash flow. Again, I hear your concerns. Let's wait until we have more information and see the actual process and the actual request from the developer before we put together our response. But saying that not one penny will be coming from the pockets of residents, or that we only could have done the traffic impact study after concept plan approval, in my opinion, in education, just didn't square with what I know to be true. But let's just wait for more facts once again to become available to fully determine our response. Finally, on the standards of approval, This is what we and the commissioners were supposed to be ultimately basing our approval on. The conversation, which ended in a consensus vote, not an actual official city commission vote, was held on July 21st, a meeting which I couldn't attend because of a pre-planned family vacation. The 45-minute conversation, again, ended with a consensus vote where we, the commission, the five of them and the mayor, discussed 6 standards for approval. Each of those were comprised of 2 to 3 sentence descriptions of various aspects of how a development should work well with the existing city layout. We've adopted a version of those, I believe, to be widely used throughout many communities throughout the state and country. And, like I've said in my previous comments, in chamber that you could check in the minutes, I believe the standards for approval at this point are still wildly unmet. First, the conversation on July 21st could only be described as legislative. It refutes the city attorney's claim that this process is administrative, full stop. The commissioners were using their creativity and unique viewpoints and perspectives to gauge whether they think they've been met or not. This fits the definition of a legislative process. Items such as community character and essential character were not fully discussed. In fact, when pressed, our city attorney took a pass on providing the commission case law and precedent to help us arrive at our decision. They took a pass on providing that, instead stating they couldn't find any, punted to the consultant who's not a city employee and the zoning administrator. The community advocacy group, the Concerned Residents Group, did hire an attorney who actually did find case law and presented us with an alternative view of what community character actually means. In the standards, there's words such as impact and adjacent. So again, the impact may not be hazardous to the adjacent areas. Don't quote me on that, that's paraphrasing. We received no guidance on what the term impact actually means, or what square footage or number of feet or yards or miles the word adjacent actually referred to. So we have no guidance in understanding this in order that we may make a fully informed decision. Interestingly, 2 out of the 3 commissioners who voted yes on the project stayed quiet during the discussion of 2 of those standards. So the wording on the standards of approval and the process as we understand it just simply differs greatly in interpretation. That doesn't make either side wrong. The legislative decision-making tree, as I've just described, is based in processes in how we all process life experiences and unique perspectives. And these standards were just not met because somebody told us that they were. This is not a black and white box checking exercise. So in terms of something of this level of complexity, that type of administrative process literally just does not exist. And I think we'll have a neat conversation about that going forward. So I'd like to wrap up. This project has not been without a little bit of friction, but with the hope of maintaining what we know to be the community character that exists in here in EGR. I would just like to say that I was surprised, as many of you were, that came to me and shared these types of concerns for a town that is close-knit and also highly academic, that one group of folks would be leaning so hard into what they consider to be the facts. We're having a conversation that is highly interpretive, subjective, but again, it's somehow coming down to one group holding all the facts. I believe that we as a community need to uncover truths about the impacts, both positive and negative, related to this project, but facts right now at this point remain elusive. And that may arise in some people an uncomfortable reality that perhaps we have to remain in this disagreement without a true end in sight for a little while longer. But if there's one thing I know about this community and all tight-knit communities, that we'll get through it based on our unity, not our division. That's the nature of a legislative process. Let's put it this way. It's not the concerned residents or the no vote commissioners wanted all the facts up front. We just felt like we didn't have enough facts at the time to make an informed decision. But to frame the debate around facts versus non-facts was really an interesting way to come at a debate in a community full of educated people who, speaking for myself, became normally I become instantly curious when the debate turns to one side holding facts and then goes as far as to say the other group are spreading lies. I truly believe, as I've been told by local residents, that the facts will be sorted out later and it will likely not be by the city commissioners. We will just leave that where it is for right now. And just to say here, in really wrapping up, that once again, I appreciate everybody's interest in seeing this project through to completion. There's a long way to go, and I look forward to everybody's continued input and support in making this city as great a place as we can make it. Thank you.